What's up everybody, it's Sean here and I am back today to give you guys a review of the NikeCraft Mars Yard 3.0. So this really might be the sneaker of the year. And I have to say 2025 has been an incredible, unimaginable year when it comes to Nike bringing back those grails that you really never expected to ever have a chance of owning. On a lesser scale, sneakers like the shattered backboard Jordan 1s, the What the Kobe 8s, and then you have more of those upper echelon pairs like the undefeated Air Jordan 4s, and then this one, while it's not exactly a retro, it follows in the footsteps very closely to the Mars Yard 1.0, which dropped back in 2012, and then the Mars Yard 2.0, which dropped in 2017. And I hate when people say this, but this is an example of a pair that pretty much is like an instant grail. So on the topic of grails, if you've been collecting sneakers for a while, you know that some of your shoes that are older, they're susceptible to crumbling and fading. Well, that's where the sponsor for today's video comes into play. Today's video was brought to you by Capsule. So Capsule is a brand new product on the market, and their product helps to preserve your sneakers and extend their lives by up to 2 times. It's a very simple, straightforward process. In my hand right here, this is an example of Capsule's pod, and it's where you store your shoes inside. So as you can see here, I have my Fragment Travis Scott Air Jordan 1s, and it's sealed inside this UV protective pod, which is airtight. But the secret to their formula comes in the form of a cartridge. And this cartridge you actually inject into this pod, which not only pushes out the bad air containing the oxygen and the dirt, but it pushes in a preservative, this gas, which allows the shoes to sit in an ideal state where it targets the 2 main reasons why your shoes age, fade, and crumble over time, which is hydrolysis and oxidization. So this is a scientifically backed formula, and it's gone through rigorous testing where they compared a sneaker that was kept just as is versus another pair that was kept in this capsule system. And the differences between the two is very noticeable in terms of aging and turning yellow. So if you don't believe me, check out their website, I'll link it down below. Read up more and research more behind the science. And if you decide to give their system a try, tell them that you heard about them through this channel. So this is under the NikeCraft banner, which is a joint project between artist Tom Sachs with Nike. And this one, just like their past releases, have been heavily influenced by aerospace engineering, NASA, space, that whole entire world. This shoe was available through 2 different methods. First, NikeCraft released an ISRU mobile app, which stands for In Situ Resource Utilization. This is terminology taken directly from NASA, if I'm not mistaken. And essentially, in simple terms, they hosted this summer camp where they had a wide variety of challenges. So for example, one of the challenges was take a photo or a video of you shooting a free throw and then posting that every single day. And then there was, for example, one where you run around the block. There was another one where you take a picture or video of a book that you read that day. So little things like that, which were really about building routine and creating a better version of yourself at the end of the day. And with each successful completion of those challenges, you were given points. And long story short, if you reached a certain threshold of points, you were invoiced a pair of these directly through the app. And then those that had a lower amount of points, they were able to pre-order a pair that's set to be delivered sometime in 2026. So unfortunately, I didn't take that app too seriously. I had somewhere around 500-ish points, which didn't qualify me for a pre-order or direct access to the shoe. Luckily though, certain retailers were given pairs of these. So here in Canada, Haven was one of the stores, along with Better Gift Shop here in Toronto. And they hosted a 1-day raffle where you actually had to show them your app, show them your username or user ID, along with how many points you had. And they instituted like a point minimum system where I believe you had to have 300 or 350 points on the app to successfully enter your name into that raffle. So I made the cut, thankfully, and I managed to grab this pair over from Better Gift Shop. So these retailed for a price of $275 or $350 here in Canada. And the official colorway for this shoe is natural, sport red, maple, and sail. So first things first, here's a quick look at the box. And this is a box that we've seen before in some of their past releases. So we have NikeCraft branding on it. All throughout, it has a very unique look. You can see we have Tom Sachs' name on this, along with Mars Yard 3.0. And here's a look at the inside of the box, as well as the bottom. So taking a deep dive into the shoe itself, as we start things off with the toe box, this is covered in a sail colored mesh, and this is a pretty thick feeling mesh. It has multiple layers on it, which makes it feel pretty sturdy to the touch. Overlaid on top of this, we have a very soft and buttery, dark tan colored suede. And then a new addition to this shoe that wasn't seen before on the 1.0s or the 2.0s is this TPU toe cap, and this gives you some added durability around the front end of the sneaker. Covering the eyelets, we have more of that very soft suede, and you can see how large the eyelets are, which help accommodate the thicker laces. Underneath this, we have more of that sail colored mesh, and we have a screen printed red colored swoosh on top. Moving downwards along the heel, we have another cut of that genuine suede. This covers both the bottom and the top of the heel. And then stitched onto the heel, we have this oversized nylon pull tab, which allows you to get your foot into and out of the shoe a little bit easier. In terms of laces, this pair only comes with one lace option, and they're a thick, textured, rope style lace done in the sail or off-white color. Underneath this, the tongue is crafted out of that same mesh that we saw covering the body of the shoe. The laces intertwine through this pull tab, which help to hold the laces in place. We have this retro looking Nike tag on the top, and you'll see how the pull tab extends outwards, mimicking the look of the pull tab on the heel. The tongue itself has this almost deconstructed look to it, where the foam layer within is exposed. It is partially gusseted to the body of the shoe, giving you more of a sock-like fit. And then on the back of the tag, you can see here we have Mars Yard 3.0 and Tom Sachs branding. The interior of the back half of the shoe, this is lined in a very soft, very broken in feeling leather, and it almost feels like the leather found on a very used, very broken in baseball glove. And then for the insoles, these come with two sets of insoles. So the default one that they come with are these cork lined insoles. Of course, they feature these custom graphics on the left and right feet. But if you turn this insole over to the other side, not only is there arch support, which is essential for someone like me that deals with a lot of arch pain, but there's also additional padding along the forefoot and the heel, giving you that added level of comfort. If you're not a fan of cork insoles, I know they can be a little bit tough to get your foot in and out of the shoe. They also come with a traditional insole as well. This is lined in mesh instead. It also features custom graphics on top. And while there isn't additional padding on the heel or the forefoot, it does come with the additional arch supports, which was a welcome sight to see. So the upper of the Mars Yard 3.0, it sits atop a React foam midsole, which has a bit of a sculpted look to it. You can see on the forefoot, on the lateral side specifically, it runs upwards, slightly covering the suede, and this gives you a little bit of containment on the lateral side of the shoe. Right above this, we have this semi-translucent TPU heel clip, which gives you structure and support around the heel of the shoe. And then turning this pair over to the bottom, so we have a natural rubber outsole, and the traction pattern here is pretty defined. The lugs are quite deep, and in the middle we have Morse code, which translates to the letters IWFBOM, and this stands for "It won't fail because of me," which is a quote we've seen used on Tom Sachs merchandise, and its roots tie back to NASA and its early space programs, and it's sort of like a mantra used by those early astronauts. And underneath the rubber, you can see we also have a carbon fiber shank plate as well. So this is a new addition that we never had in the 1.0 or 2.0, and it helps with torsional rigidity and midfoot support. So that breaks down the look and the construction of this pair. And for those wondering about how these fit, this is probably the $1 million question. So I never owned the 1.0 or the 2.0. So I was doing research online, on Reddit, on Instagram, just to see what people were saying about how those versions fit. So long story short, I'm a true size 10, slightly on the wider side, and I signed up for a 9.5, which is a half size down. Getting these, they actually fit me pretty well. I'd say generally speaking, this shoe is a shoe that runs a little bit longer. So if you have a narrow, normal width foot and you like more of a snug one-to-one fit, I'd recommend going a half size down. If you have a slightly wide foot and you like a really exact one-to-one fit, you can also go a half size down, but if you have a wide foot or a really wide foot, then just stick true to size, deal with the extra length in order to accommodate the width of your foot. So for me, getting these in a 9.5, there's still about a thumb's width space between the top of the shoe and the top of my toe. The width, I wouldn't say that it's uncomfortable. I can feel a little bit of pressure around this toe box area right here, but it's not snug to the point where I regret getting this size. Especially if I'm gonna wear these a lot and break them in, then I think going that half size down was the right choice for me. But if you're in doubt, always go true to size, and it's better to have a shoe that's a little bit roomy than have a shoe that's just too snug to wear. Next up, in terms of the comfort, so my initial thought when I held these in hand were that this is actually more of a beefier and heavier feeling sneaker than I expected. Just by the look test, it just looks very lightweight and very airy, but there's just something about this shoe that just feels quite substantial, and that translates to on feet as well. Underfoot, I'd say that it's actually pretty comfortable. When I use the cork insoles, I feel quite a bit of plushness, especially underneath the heel. That large pillow on the bottom of the insole, it really feels great for me underfoot, and I was a big fan of the arch support as well. I feel very locked in, it's supporting me in the right places and giving me a bit of that pillowy feel in the heel, so it combines to be a very comfortable experience, all things considered. Finally, in terms of the quality and the craftsmanship, so first off, material quality I was really happy with. Everything from this thick mesh to the very soft suede and this genuine leather collar that they used. I was very impressed with the material quality. It really feels special, it really feels premium. The build quality, for the most part, it was pretty solid in the sense that the panels were consistently sized, cut and placed. My only issue was that there was some noticeable glue stains around the bottom of the shoe where the upper meets the midsole. But I really think this is a shoe that looks a lot better when it's beat up, when it's really worn to the ground. So I'm really not stressing about the glue stains because eventually I'm sure these are gonna look pretty worn in, and I'm probably just gonna forget about the glue along the upper. So let me know in the comment section down below, how was the build quality on your pair? Did you have a lot of glue stains like mine? Was it pretty flawless? Let me know down below once you guys get yours in hand. So with all that out of the way now, let me toss these on feet, I'll lace them up, and I'll show you guys how these look. All in all, I'm really happy with how these turned out. Honestly, when I first saw the news that these were coming out, I kind of mentally accepted that this would be a pair that I probably wouldn't get. I fully expected quantities to be extremely limited, and the resale, just basing it off of how the 1.0 and 2.0 were selling at, I figured it'd be out of my price range to pick these up on the secondary market. But lo and behold, the raffle gods blessed me and this pair is finally home, and I honestly couldn't be happier. I know there were some people that weren't too happy about the changes like the screen printed swoosh or this black TPU toe cap, but I love how it retains the spirit of the 1.0s and the 2.0s, but it continues to evolve and add changes to it so that the people that own those first two iterations, they're not completely cheated in the sense that Nike is bringing back an exact replica. And for me, honestly, I like the changes that they made on this pair. So leave your thoughts down below, let me know what do you guys think about this Mars Yard 3.0, and for those that got these delivered already, what are your thoughts now that you have them in hand? This is such an amazing sneaker. I'm sure it'll make a lot of people's top sneaker of the year lists, and it's definitely gonna make an appearance on mine. As usual, if you guys enjoyed this review, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't yet. You can follow me on my social media accounts, which I'll link down below. And before I end this video, be sure to check out Capsule, the sponsor for today's video. So thanks everyone for tuning in. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this review, and I'll catch you all in my next video.